What is the biggest problem of small business owners related to growing their businesses? well, I think given what I just talked about, I think probably the biggest problem for small business owners related to growing their business is actually understanding how do I take what I patched together and got this far, how do I now scale that, and how do I do that um, in maybe a more methodical, less haphazard way. And it's difficult to know how to grow your business if you don't really know how your business makes money in the first place, what the catalyst is for it. And what do you need to be able to control? So the simplest thing most small business owners will do is say, well, we just got to sell more. Well, that's great. How much more do you have to sell? If you had to sell more, do you do it at the same price, at lower prices? If you had to sell more, does that mean you need more salespeople? Does that change your cost structure? Does that mean that you've got to open up an office, or you have to undertake some more monthly subscriptions and additional overhead to be able to grow? And can your business afford it? Do you have the right people? And firsthand experience for me with small business owners, and it's kind of a classic thing, is a business will get busy and they'll think that the things are going really well. So they'll hire an admin assistant, or they'll hire an office manager, or maybe in their accounting department, they'll hire like a bookkeeper, maybe a controller. Then maybe they'll hire like an HR person. All of a sudden they've got all these people on their team because like life is really good. Life is really working out and we're growing and we're doing our thing. But no, the entrepreneur doesn't stop to think for a minute, wait a minute, do I actually need all these people? Is all of this overhead really necessary? And entrepreneurs will often misread the signs, and they'll say, just because we're busy doesn't necessarily mean that we're profitable, in which case it doesn't necessarily mean that we should be growing. Now, I know that can sound ridiculous unless you're an entrepreneur that's had to go through that moment of cutting back all of those expenses that you took on in anticipation of growing. And so the biggest problem that small business owners face related to growing their business is actually not understanding enough about what is required to grow their business. Kind of another classic line is entrepreneurs will say, well, I just need more cash. Like, I just need an investor. If an investor came along and an investor put like, I don't know, a bunch of money into my business, I could do so much with it. And assuming that that is 100% true, the next question that follows is, okay, so if you had all that money, what would you do with it? Well, we'd market more. We would have more online marketing ads running, or we would hire salespeople and pay them salaries, or we could get some of that stuff that we need for our business that allows us to do the thing that we do. But that usually is a back of the napkin answer, as opposed to something that's a little bit more planned out and methodical. And what's interesting about both of these questions that have been asked is these questions are coming from entrepreneurs that are in the middle of actually experiencing the ramifications of either A, closing their business based on the previous question, or in this case, they're right in the moment of thinking, man, I need to grow, and how do I do that, and what challenges am I going to face doing it? So asking the question is great, but until you've actually experienced the moment, it's difficult to understand the importance of going, well, wait a minute, why are we growing? What does it take to grow? If we're growing, are we doing that to be the leader in our marketplace? Are we doing that to slaughter our competition? Are we doing that because this is a stepping stone to something different that our business plan calls for? Most entrepreneurs just say, go, 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 get me an investor. We just want to grow because we can, without really stopping to understand, should you grow? Why do you need to grow? What does it look like if you were to grow? And again, this doesn't need to be like an exhaustive, 6-month exercise in doing nerdy business plans, but it does require at least a whiteboard, an Excel spreadsheet, somebody that you can bounce the ideas off of to say, okay, growing is important. We think we'd like to grow because we'd like to hire more people. We would like to make more money because us making more money allows us to go into different marketplaces and take advantage of different opportunities and maybe serve a broader base of customers. And so in order to do that, kind of what are the pieces that we're going to need? Who are the people that we need in order to serve our new customers? What does our infrastructure, our business look like? Does our email server, is it going to handle it? Does our website need to change? Does how we bring in customers, is that going to change? And so there does need to be some time spent on understanding why you need to grow and what is it going to take to grow specifically. And again, kind of use the baseline question of, if someone said, I will fund your growth plan, just imagine for a minute you had a plan, an actual plan that you could explain to someone that made sense, someone that didn't know your business. And they were going to write just an open-ended check and say, here's all the money that you could possibly need to grow your business. Well, you should be able to help them understand, what does that look like? What's the return on that investment? How do we get that money back? How are we going to use it? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what is the biggest problem with small business owners related to growing their business? It's actually not understanding why they need to grow and what's required to grow.